Hello you all, I'm BlaqueWitchYaya. Thank you so much for tuning into this video. And for today's video, I asked that y'all do me a small favor. For some people, this story may sound familiar. You may know exactly what I'm talking about. Please, oh please, do not say the name of the shop in the comments. This individual does not want this story to be completely associated with her shop. She just wanted to share the story on what she did to protect herself. So as you can see, today's setup look a little bit different because I am not making my crystal dry rub, even though I have some in the mixture here of the crystals that were just cleansed. Today, I am making some necklaces. I made this one for me and I was like, oh, this is so cute. I should make a bunch of them. So that's what we're doing today as displayed here. So we're going to be wrapping crystals while I tell you this story about a girl named Evelyn. So Evelyn grew up in a big family, and like most of the stories y'all share with me, she was the black sheep of her family as well. I feel like that's pretty common if you're like the only spiritual person in your family. Everybody kind of look at you like you just a little bit different, but it wasn't in the way where her family wanted to stray away from her. They were intrigued by her. She was always a happy child. She was always putting on shows. She was real creative, so she'll take a pencil and now it's a wand or a key to a secret universe. She was always entertaining her family, just being a happy, bubbly child. You know how sometimes you see kids and like, you got some good parents. Like they just always seem like they're happy, excited, in a good mood. That was Evelyn. So just like every other kid, Evelyn would find herself playing outside with her friends, but then eventually she would wander off by herself. They live in like the, I don't want to call it the boondocks, but you know, like the countryside where it's just the backyard is just woods. She would wander off by herself into the woods, looking at different things, picking up sticks and leaves and anything that she found interesting, she would just add it to her collection. So her family knew she was safe. They'd like, oh, yep, she playing now. Then after a while, she gonna get sick of them and start wandering off by herself. And you know how some kids have imaginary friends? Her imaginary friends were different, unique trees in the woods. Like it was one that was shaped like an owl. So she was like, this is my friend Owl. This is my friend Rosie, because it's like a rose bush or something. So she found solace and peace while being in nature. So she would play with her physical friends, then she would go play with her nature friends as well. So as Evelyn got older, her love for nature started to take on a different meaning. So once just innocence as a child, climbing trees, playing with rocks, developed into a deeper understanding of nature and why she felt so much peace while being in nature. If she saw a new type of flower, she would go home and research it, discover the properties of it, how to take care of it. She would tend to it. And then while doing her research, she discovered the spiritual aspects of nature as well. And it started to all make sense to her. Like, it's just not imagination. It's just not my imaginary friends. I'm feeling connected with nature because it's a piece of me that's outside of nature as well. So throughout middle school, high school, she always stayed connected with nature, discovering her gifts. And then she eventually graduated high school and went off to college. So let's get into her college life. So while in college, Evelyn majored in business, and like nature, she discovered that she had a love for business as well. The development, listening to different entrepreneurs, the risks that they had to take, she discovered a love for business. So she was enjoying her major. She was doing very well in school. Then after a while, she said, you know what, I'm going to start my own business. But she's like, okay, but what is my business going to be about? What can I sell? Just because, side note, with her love for nature, discovering nature, she realized that she was real good with herbs and different teas, lotions, and oils. So anytime she would see someone and they're not feeling well, she would make them up a tea. Or if someone says, oh my gosh, I keep waking up with this bad headache, she'll be like, hey, take this oil, rub it on the temple of your head every single night at 7:02. Spray this water inside of your shower before you get into it every night, and sleep with this crystal underneath your bed. She had that skill just like in her back pocket, but she was doing it for free. Just because she had so much fun doing it, it was just like a little hobby for her where she just always had something in her purse to give out to people. And it's usually family members, so it's not a bunch of people asking for it. But she discovered I could start selling these little products. And that's exactly what she did. She started a whole entire business plan, the products I'm going to have, how much I need to start, when am I going to launch it. And then in the meantime, she made herself a website. Anytime someone wanted one of her lotions or oils, she'd be like, hey, here's a pamphlet, go to my website, these are my prices. So she officially started her business, and one of her bigger goals was to open up a spiritual shop, but not just any old spiritual shop. She wanted it themed after a pharmacy. So you know when you walk into a pharmacy, oh, cold and flu right here, aches and pains right here. But she wanted to have those categories, but instead of medicine, she has natural medicine. She has tea, she has herbs, she has oil, she has lotion. So you could just walk in, all right, I'm having some knee pain. Okay, knee pain, oil right here, arthritis. So of course she had to have money to do it. And like most 18, 19-year-olds, she was a broke college kid. But with starting her side business, we'll call it, with having items on her website and just passing it out to people, doing pop-up shops. So with her products, she did not spend a dime of her money unless it was to buy more ingredients. She saved every single penny of her profit, and she did that for years. Evelyn started saving her money for this shop at 18, 19 years old. So when I say she saved for years, by the age of 24, she was able to open up her shop. So one interesting thing about Evelyn's shop, that it was located in the middle of nowhere. Like I said, she grew up in like the little countryside. Her backyard was the woods. So she wanted that same setting for her shop. Reason being, if she had to do an offering or go get something from the garden or just needed to be in nature for something, it's right in the backyard. So if someone's like, hey, I need this herb for something, she could just run out in her garden and go get it. So she was thinking, I get my power, I get my resources and my information from nature. So I want to be surrounded by that energy. So I'm consistently getting charged with the power of nature, the power of the trees and everything in nature, all of that good stuff. So just to describe the shop a little bit, imagine you walked into a greenhouse mixed with a CVS, but like I said, instead of pills and different liquids, you got capsules of herbs, vitamins, and teas. So it was really cute. The shop is not open yet. She's actually getting ready for her grand opening at this point. So she's decorating everything. She's making sure everything is in place. Like I said, this place was located in the middle of nowhere. It was actually just an old abandoned house that she turned into a shop. So she had to get walls replaced. She had to get floors replaced. Knobs are jiggly, moldy stuff. So she's just trying to get everything nice and clear for the grand opening. So once all the tasks and duties started to get checked off, it's getting time for the grand opening. So for the grand opening, majority of the shop was done. It was a back room that she wanted to have like a tarot reader in, but she knew that wouldn't happen right away. So she said that could wait. I could still do the grand opening, have everything done in the front. So we'll save up and have that task done later. So to get some traffic coming through the door, Evelyn went to work with marketing. She was passing out flyers. She got a billboard. And of course, to get people to come, she had free food, like a little vegan snack area, free drinks. She had a station where you can make your own candles. She had a little bounce house if you're bringing kids and you don't want them in the shop. We got some people to watch them over here. She made sure any excuse why you couldn't come, it'll be there. You hungry? We got food. You got your kids? We got a bounce house. And she did a pretty good job with advertising, because the day of the grand opening, people were beating her there. So she's nervous, a little excited for staff members for the grand opening. She just has her parents, her nephews, her nieces, just kind of being able to cater with people, walk them around. She gave them a whole training as well. So now it's the grand opening. Everyone's marching in, of course, going to the food first, walking around. So of course she gave a nice speech to everyone. Thank you for coming. I'm Evelyn. I wanted to open up the shop to help take care of people. I've been doing this since I was little. So now I just want to be able to serve my community, to give different options and different natural remedies to stuff. It has worked for some people. I have my uncle here who used my oil for his knees. So if you need anything, just let me know. So you have people buying stuff. She's checking people out. People are asking questions. She's tending to people, just working the room. So there was someone there at the grand opening. We'll call her Madam Otis. She wanted to meet who this owner was, because she actually owned the shop as well. And so it was kind of cliche to own a botanica shop. People found it creepy. So she's like, oh my gosh, who else has a shop around here? We could work together. I want to see who's interested in this type of stuff. So she went up to Evelyn. She was like, oh my gosh, this shop is so nice. Who's the owner of it? And Evelyn proudly said, me. And Madam Otis, she makes a joke. She's like, girl, you seem so young. What you know about all this? And so of course, Evelyn gave her full background of how she's been just involved with nature since she was little, started her studies, developing her gift, all that good stuff. So Madam Otis was so happy to hear this, because she's like, look, I own a botanica shop not too far from here. So as soon as I seen that there was another one opening, I wanted to see what was going on, because there's not too many of us openly spiritual people around here. She was like, can you give me a tour? So Evelyn gave her a tour of the shop. She was like, this is the candle making station. So just in case I don't have a candle that someone needs, I can walk them through for them to make candles. This over here, you can make your own tea. So if you like one flavor flavor, but you want to mix it with another, you can have it here. This is where the oils and lotions are, and it's categorized by different types of pain and symptoms you may be having. She gave her a full tour, and Madam Otis was just so proud of her. She was like, you're doing such a good job. I can't wait to see how you evolve when you get older. She was like, look, when you have some free time, stop by my shop. I'll give you a tour. We can hang out, all that good stuff. So Evelyn is excited because she sees this older woman. She's like, older woman is accepting me, because she found that sometimes in the spiritual community, and I can attest, older people tend to be a little bit meaner to the younger generation because they feel like they don't know what they're doing. But she's like, this woman just opened me up with open arms. I'm going to make sure I visit her shop. She's thinking she's going to have like a buddy in the end. We could work together. She can do her stuff. I can do my teas. We can like host events together. Like I said, Evelyn was a very excited person. So she's thinking about the endless possibilities of what her and Madam Otis can do. So the grand opening was a success, and that success was ongoing. She continuously had a bunch of people at her shop. Weeks and weeks went by. She was making great sales. She was even considering actually having an employee now, because her family was just there to help with the grand opening, because she thought like, well, I'm not going to be that busy at first. I'll save some money, then I'll hire someone. But she was in the process of like, maybe I should get one extra person at least to be in here, because she was that busy. So one day while working in the shop, Madam Otis pays Evelyn another visit. So she walks in and she's like, excuse me, daughter, I was waiting on you to stop by my shop. I had something for you. And Evelyn is like, oh my gosh, I'm so sorry. I've been so busy for these past few weeks. I'm opening up early. I'm closing late. It's just been hectic. So Madam Otis is like, you're getting that much customers already. That's so good. Starting off on a good foot. And Evelyn is like, thank you so much. You know, I wasn't expecting to be this busy at first. I thought I'd have a lot more free time. But thank you for coming by. Are you open on weekends? Maybe a day when I'm closed, I can stop by your shop. And then Madam Otis says, oh, no need to. I realize I came to your grand opening empty-handed. How tacky of me, from one spiritualist to another. So I got you a gift. So Madam Otis is pulling out items out of the bag. And she's like, well, it's not a physical gift for you. I have this service where I offer different types of cleansings and everything. So I was wondering if you don't mind, I would love to cleanse your shop for you. I wish I had someone who did this for me when I first opened. I was struggling really bad. But if I could just cleanse your shop, give it a fresh new energy. I know you really don't even need it. I didn't know exactly what to give you, but I could offer my service to you free of charge, just to give your shop a quick cleanse, just so you could continue having this good luck that you're having. So Evelyn, without hesitation, is like, yes, please cleanse this shop. Do whatever you need to do, because she's looking at her like, oh my gosh, this person is so wise. She's been in this game for so long. Yes, put all your good energy into this shop. And Madam Otis is like, oh great, well, usually I start from the back to the front just to bring all negative energy out. So what's this door back here? And that was the door to the future tarot room that Evelyn was having. So she was like, oh, that room isn't done yet. I'm actually saving it to get it fixed. I have some contractors coming tomorrow to lay down some floors, and hopefully that'll be the tarot room. Whenever I can afford a tarot reader, they'll do all the readings back there. So Madam Otis is like, oh, let me definitely start back here first. Evelyn is like, just be careful. The floors are pulled up, so you'll have to just walk along the sides. Madam Otis is like, no problem. Just give me about 10 minutes and I'll have this whole place cleansed up for you. So Evelyn is like, take your time. I'll just be over here stocking up the shelves. So Madam Otis gets to work. She pulls out her different items, her different symbols. She's doing splashes on the floor. And Madam Otis spoke a different language. So she was doing her chants and messages and all that good stuff in a different language. So the entire time Evelyn could not understand what she was saying, because she was speaking a different language. So Madam Otis starts in the tarot room. Of course, the floors is pulled up. So she's just blessing the bottom of the floors. She rubs oils on the wall, different sprays. She's saying whatever she's saying. It sounded good. She's just working through the whole shop, smoking it down, putting different things around, blah, blah, blah. And so Evelyn is like, oh, she's really doing this. Like, she's amazed about how the presentation and the ambiance looks. So Evelyn is excited. So Madam Otis is now done. She goes up to Evelyn. She's like, thank you for allowing me to do this. She was like, let me know if you need anything. I can't wait to collab with you, blah, 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 doing all that good stuff, right? So Evelyn is gracious. She's actually about to close up the shop. So she's done for the day. She's excited to come in the next day, because she just knows this energy is about to be different. And it was. She couldn't put her finger on it, but when she opened the door, she was like, I don't know what it is, but it does feel different in here. When she walked in, she got chills, and she's like, damn, whatever she did, she need to do this at least once a month. Like, she was excited about how different it felt. Not good, but different. So that day was just a normal day at the shop. Days went on. Traffic is still good. Walking into the shop one day, of course, Evelyn excited. She walks in. She turns the lights on. She's getting everything prepared. She makes her some tea. She's getting ready for some customers to walk in. Then all of a sudden, she just got exhausted. talking about barely could keep her eyes open, just very, very sleepy. She's looking at her tea like, did I make some chamomile or something? Like, what's making me so sleepy? So there was a woman who walked in who was not looking too excited to be inside the shop. She's like, Evelyn, I came here a few weeks ago to get some lotion for my baby's eczema, and look. She pulls out her phone and looks like the eczema just took over the baby's body. So Evelyn is like, oh, what happened? I'm sorry. This is for my lotion? Let me, what happened? She's like, yes, this is from your product. I had to take my child to the hospital because they were having an allergic reaction. And Evelyn's like, I'm so sorry. Maybe a different kind will help. Evelyn is sleepy, but to the lady, it just looks like she's like, oh, okay, girl, anywho. Like, wasn't taking her seriously. Evelyn's trying to offer a different lotion, and the lady's like, no, I just want my money back. Evelyn's stuff did work, okay? So she knows she had a nice little price behind it as well. Evelyn's like, I'm so sorry. Do you have your receipt? Well, I know how I remember your face, so here you go. I'm so sorry. So the mother leaves. Evelyn is so tired, she has to close her shop early. There's still customers trying to come in. She's like, I'm so sorry, y'all. I'm not feeling well. I have to go home. She's driving home. As soon as she gets to her house, she just falls asleep. She wakes up the next day, still a little tired. She's drinking some caffeine, trying to get her energy going. She eventually shakes back to her normal self. She goes to her shop, but before she could even open the door, snakes are lined up around the door. Like I said, her location is in the middle of nowhere, so she's expecting to see some creatures around. So she was able to scare them off. She's like, what is that? Is this some food up here for them? Like, what's going on? She goes into her shop. As soon as she opens up the door, the most disgusting smell hits her in the face. So the day before, she was really sleepy. She's like, did I leave food out? What's spoiled? Did I leave something on? What's that smell? All around her shop, she could not pinpoint what the smell was. So she opened up all the doors, trying to quickly air it out before customers come in. Customers are coming in and she's like, guys, I'm so sorry. I'm not sure what that smell is. I'm airing it out. If you want to just sit in your car, I can bring you out your items. And they're like, it smells like eucalyptus. And she's like, you don't smell this? It smells like a dead rat. And they're like, no, I just smell eucalyptus. I smell some herbs over there. It smells like it usually does. Evelyn is like, okay, well, maybe it aired out and the smell is still stuck in my nose. So she tends to the customer. She goes about her day. So for the sake of time, I'm not going to run through every single instance that happened in this story, but we'll just go down a list really quickly. So, you saw the snakes. She got the foul smell. One day she has a protection candle towards the back of her shop. She lit up the protection candle. So she's going about throughout her day and she just smells smoke, like something's burning. So she figured that her candle must have knocked over. Something must be burning on the altar. She goes back there. The candle is not lit. Nothing is out of place. She lights the candle again, goes up to the front, smells the smoke, goes back, and the candle is not lit. So she's thinking, okay, maybe this is a faulty candle. Let me switch it out. The next candle did stay lit. So over time, she noticed she was getting more complaints than usual from her customers. Sales were slowing down. So she's associating it with, well, maybe this didn't work for them, so they spread the word so people aren't coming back. Even got to the point where she could close the shop early because it was just so slow. So Evelyn at this point was like, what's going on? Like, why are people complaining? She's testing out her product. She's trying to see, did I put the wrong ingredient in here? Why did they have an allergic reaction for this? Why didn't this work for them? But I know y'all probably are already getting frustrated. Like, girl, the lady put something in your shop. I'm sure we all know, because even when I was reading the email, I'm like, all right, so when's she gonna get to the point where she realized that lady put something in her shop? There was a time where she walked in and the wall had mold all over it. She called people to come and fix it. Then the mold was gone. It took a lot for her to realize that something else is going on. And I feel like that's because she's very young. Look at me calling her young. We're the same age. She's young. She's bubbly. She's nice. So it took her a minute to realize that someone would do something like this to her. So eventually she was like, okay, so what's the difference? When I started out, the oils, the lotions, the candles, everything was working. I had a bunch of traffic. Now all of a sudden I'm getting complaints. Traffic is slowing down. My shop is starting to decay. Different instances is happening. What's going on? So eventually Evelyn started to put two and two together. She was like, something's going on. Something's different. So she decided, let me re-cleanse my shop to put my energy back into it. Maybe with different people walking in, the energy may have shifted. Let me just recharge it and we'll go from there. Because she knew it was something more on the spiritual level than the physical level, because it wasn't making sense on the physical level. So she's like, okay, so this must be something else going on. She's starting to put two and two together. So she's like, let me re-cleanse my shop, put my energy back in here, mop it down, floor it to water, that you can get from BlaqueWitchYaya.com. So she did the thing, right? And she remembered anytime her family would move, her mother would read a certain scripture in the Bible and just walk around the house to cleanse the house. And she's like, okay, I never done this before, but what was that scripture? It was Psalms. Let me look through my Bible really quick. So now this did make Evelyn feel a little bit nervous because she was like, I'm in over my head. Do I have the energy to cleanse my own shop? Is this going to work? So she searched for her Bible. She was like, what Psalms book did my mom read? It was, so she remembered that it was Psalms 140. So she grabs her Bible, she cleans her hands, she opens it up to Psalms 140. She makes her floor wash. She's like, okay, let me get some smudging going on. Let me do this. She's kind of nervous because she felt like, I never had to do anything like this before. Do I have the power to do it? She's like, okay, let me just set my intentions. Let me do it. Let me calm down. So she goes to the center of her shop. She reads Psalms 140. She reads it one time. She reads it again. She reads it again. She reads it over and over to the point where she has it memorized. So she gets her floor wash. She starts cleansing her floors down. She's repeating it. She's repeating it out loud. She's repeating it as she, oh God, I'm getting chills. She's repeating it as she's smudging the room down. She took some of the floor washes. She even wiped the walls with it because she had that mold before. So she don't know where this is coming from. So she's washing it down. She goes to the back of the shop. And for those of you guys who aren't familiar with Psalms 140, I'll let it play now. This is from Bible Gateway audio player, so I can give them their credit.
Deliver me, O Lord, from the evil man. Preserve me from the violent man, which imagine mischiefs in their heart. Continually are they gathered together for war. They have sharpened their tongues like a serpent. Adder's poison is under their lips, Selah. Keep me, O Lord, from the hands of the wicked. Preserve me from the violent man, who have purposed to overthrow my goings. The proud have hid a snare for me, and cords. They have spread a net by the wayside. They have set gins for me, Selah. I said unto the Lord, Thou art my God. Hear the voice of my supplications, O Lord. O God, the Lord, the strength of my salvation, thou hast covered my head in the day of battle. Grant not, O Lord, the desires of the wicked. Further not his wicked device, lest they exalt themselves, Selah. As for the head of those that compass me about, let the mischief of their own lips cover them. Let burning coals fall upon them. Let them be cast into the fire, into deep pits, that they rise not up again. Let not an evil speaker be established in the earth. Evil shall hunt the violent man to overthrow him. I know that the Lord will maintain the cause of the afflicted, and the right of the poor. Surely the righteous shall give thanks unto thy name. The upright shall dwell in thy presence.
So she's cleansing the floor down. She's working her way to the back. She's repeating the scripture. And as she gets closer to the back, when she gets to the part that says, Grant not, O Lord, the desires of the wicked, she hears this loud crash in her back room. So again, this is Evelyn's first time ever doing something like this before. She didn't know if she had the energy or the power to do it. It just seemed like something over her head. So when she heard that loud crash, she stood there frozen for like 5 minutes. She didn't know where to move. She didn't know if someone was in there with her. She was scared to open up the door. She didn't know if she should call somewhere for backup. Then eventually she realized, like, okay, this is my shop. I have to do what I have to do. I have to protect myself. She busts open the door. And remember when I told you that her back room wasn't done yet? She had contractors coming to put down new floors. One of the tiles burst. Not cracked, not chiseled, like burst. There was little pieces of tiles all around the floor. I would have ran. Like, what do you do? Y'all, could y'all imagine y'all doing a cleanse and then all of a sudden you hear a crash? Like, what? So she has this emblem with different crystals, different signs on it. She always keeps it tucked in her shirt. So she pulled it out and she's holding it in her hand as she walks into the room. The tile bust, and I don't know how the floor underneath the tile bust too, but she could see straight through the floor. So she's walking closer to it. She's stepping over the broken pieces of tile. She looks down into the hole. Y'all, there was a headless chicken underneath her floor. And where the head used to be, there's parchment paper from like spell work that was written down stuck into the head with yarn wrapped around it to keep it in there. Evelyn stood there looking straight at it. So let's pause. Remember when Miss Madam Otis came into the shop and said, hey girl, I want to cleanse your shop. I wish someone would have did that for me. She's like, oh, I need to start from the back to the front. And remember when Evelyn told her, well, be careful in that back room because I get my floors put down tomorrow. So you'll have to walk along the sides. So where this chicken, headless chicken was, it was tucked in the side. Let me give y'all a visual. So imagine a room with Nothing in the middle, just open floors, but there's like a border you could walk on along the side. So the chicken was tucked in the corner of it, so I can see how when the contractors came, they just laid stuff on top and didn't look underneath in the corner to see what was there. And that corner piece of tile is what bust. So we could put two and two together. In this little mischief bag of gifts that Madam Otis had, she probably had that chicken buried in there, probably in a box so the smell wouldn't go around. So I'm just assuming, we don't know exactly what Madam Otis did, but from the observation and the description that I received, it seems that Madam Otis, she probably did some spell work, of course, with petitions written out for her business to fail, for anything to happen, for everything to go wrong, for her to give up, blah, blah, blah. And for the sacrifice, it was a chicken. She cut the head of the chicken off. I'm assuming to keep this spell going, she probably has that head of the chicken connected to a candle in her shop for her shop to continuously fail. She's probably always tending to it to keep that spell going. So I'm assuming she kept a part of the chicken so she could have control over the spell. She put her parchment paper. Usually when you do spell work, you'll write your petition, what you want to happen, on parchment paper. So she rolled that up, tied it up with yarn. Usually the tie up is like to bind something down. With her tying it up with yarn is to bind her down, to keep her trapped and control underneath that spell. So going back to the story, Evelyn is just standing there looking down at this chicken, not knowing what to do with it. And I could understand, because if you just focus on one thing when it comes to spirituality, when you randomly get hit with something that you never seen before, you never heard of before, so you kind of get overwhelmed and not knowing what to do. And that's exactly what happened. Evelyn left it. She closed the shop that day and she just walked out. She said, I don't know what to do with that. I don't know what's that supposed to be. She just left. So of course she's thinking about it all night. She was like, do I pick it up? Do I just throw it away? Does it not work now because I seen it? Does that reverse the spell? Like, what do I do? Because she is used. Now, I don't want to make her sound like she just doesn't know what she's doing. She's used to doing spell work, but her spell work is like for healing, prosperity, or positivity. She didn't expect to get hit with something like that, and she never did anything like that before. So it was just outside of her realm. She wasn't expecting that. Of course, she does stuff to protect herself, but she doesn't know what to do when something actually hits. She says that she did stuff to protect herself, but she never got that heavy or into it. She just knew, okay, let me burn a protection candle to keep my place protected, just because she wasn't expecting anyone to come to her with that negative energy. So that night she went to bed. She's tossing, she's turning, she's trying to figure out what to do with it. So in the middle of the night, she's sleeping and she just felt someone shake her. She said she don't know what got into her, but immediately she got up, she got dressed, she drove to her shop. She's just following her instinct. She's at the shop in the middle of the night. She don't know what she's doing there. So she's like, okay, let me go back to the Bible verse. She just felt like she was in autopilot and someone else was controlling her. She opens up her Bible. She's reading back through Psalms 140. So she's reading through the Bible verse over and over. Then all of a sudden, one part stood out to her. Let burning coals fall upon them. Let them be cast into the fire, into deep pits, that they rise not up again. And she says as soon as she got to that part, she just heard a voice that said, burn it. And of course, she never done anything like this before. So she's just standing there like, okay, she's looking around and she hears the voice again, burn it. So she says from that point, it just felt like she naturally knew what to do. Remember I told you her shop is located in the middle of nowhere, the wilderness, because she felt like nature is where she got her power from. So if she ever needed to do anything, it's right in her backyard. So she was like, I got to do this outside. Of course, she has to burn it. All right, and this is what Evelyn does. Let me put this down. She grabs her fire pit. She puts it outside in the middle of her backyard of her shop. She puts some gloves on. She grabs the chicken, places it in the fire pit, takes some gloves off, put them in there too. She has brick dust, but she says she mixes it with different stuff that she was supposed to line her shop with, but she never got to because she was waiting on the floors to get done in the back. So if this is the fire pit with the chicken inside, she drew arrows pointing outward all around the fire pit. And she struck a match and threw it inside the fire pit and just let it burn for hours until it turned to ashes. So now she's thinking, okay, so what do I do with these ashes? So she said, she literally thought, okay, when people have stuff thrown to them, they just do return to sender. Let me literally return it to sender. So y'all, plot twist, Evelyn is about to make us real proud. So this girl is thinking, how do I return this back to sender without her noticing? She's like, okay, Madam Otis did want me to pay her shop a visit. and I would hate to go to her shop empty-handed. So y'all know I don't condone bad spell work, but in the time that you need to, what she did was very clever. So listen up, okay? You may want to take notes too. So one day she's at her shop. She posts a note on the door, "On lunch, be back in an hour." She stops by the store. She grabs a gift for Madam Otis, pops it in her car. She drives to Madam Otis' shop. She pops in. She's like, "Hi, how are you? I just wanted to surprise you, pay your shop a visit. I know you've been waiting on me to come." So Madam Otis is like, "Oh my gosh, welcome in. Thank you so much for stopping by. I'm so happy to see you. How's business?" So Evelyn is like, "Oh, business is great. Thank you so much for cleansing my shop. You really helped out. It's better than before." So she's playing it up like, I know what you did and I did feel the hit of it, but I ain't finna give you that satisfaction. Of course, Madam Otis is like, "Great, I'm so happy to hear that." So Madam Otis is confused, like, "How the hell are you not feeling the wrath of what I threw at you?" Evelyn is like, "Well, I didn't want to come to your shop empty-handed, and I know you blessed me with the gift, so I got you this money tree. I'm not sure if you believe in this type of stuff, but it helps me out a lot with my business." She hands her the money tree. And Madam Otis is like, "Oh my gosh, you're so sweet. Thank you so much. This is so nice, blah, 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 blah." Guess what was mixed up in the soil of that money tree? The ashes from the chicken. Evelyn, 10, 10, 10s across the board. So a few weeks went by. Evelyn's tending to her business at her shop. Everything is well. She got that old energy back in her shop. So one day, Evelyn got a little nosy. She noticed that she didn't hear anything from Madam Otis lately. So she was like, on the way home, maybe I could take the long way and just drive by to see what's going on. So after she closed her shop, she took a drive over. She looked out the window at her shop to see that it was a sign that said permanently closed. So Evelyn quickly sped up and drove off, and she's driving and she's stuck between guilt and satisfaction. She's happy that the spell that she did worked, but then again, she only wanted Madam Otis to leave her alone and just get her to feel the same energy that she felt with low sales, unsatisfied customers, not to close down the entire shop. So how would you guys feel? Would you feel happy that your spell worked, or would you feel a little guilty like, damn, I wanted it to work but not that bad? That's why she didn't want this story associated with her shop. So this story is for entertainment purposes only, but she still is stuck between, okay, I'm glad it worked, but damn, did it work too good? Another moral she wanted me to share was to never underestimate the power and the knowledge that you have. Just because you never done something before or faced anything before doesn't mean that you're not capable of fighting through it, sending it back. Especially when it comes to spirituality, you may face things, different energies that you never even thought would come your way, but you had the power within you to overcome it. But thank you, Evelyn, so much for sharing your story with us. We sure took a lot of lessons from it. Let me know down below, would you be happy or would you feel a little guilty? But like I always say, as above, so below, as within, so without, as universal, the soul. Until next time, you guys, I'm Shay.